Hello, and thank you for joining me on another video. Today's video, I wanted to talk to you about a little update on supraventricular tachycardia, or SVT. I've done a couple of videos on this past 2 or 3 years. I've done a couple of videos, and I have had a lot of people reach out wondering what's been going on and if I had undergone any treatment, whether medication or an ablation, or if I was even alive. So I just wanted to check in and kind of address that, because those two videos have been like the ones that most people tend to still to this day leave comments on, even though I haven't been on YouTube for a couple of years. So I just wanted to give you a little update, because I think it's really important to say where I've been, especially because this is actually really, really common. It's a lot more common than I realized. And just before I start talking, I do want to say this video is not meant to be medical advice for you. You need to see your primary care doctor or your cardiologist or both, and in order to be treated for whatever it is that you have. There are different types of SVT. And I will talk about my circumstance and how I have been able to manage it. But that's something that this video is not, don't let this be medical advice for you. I'm just talking about my experience and what I have done to heal and manage my circumstances. I will link those videos down in the description box and up in the cards, just to kind of give you an idea of what was going on if you haven't seen those videos yet. To give you a quick recap, first of all, as to what SVT is, I'm just going to read off of the definition that I had found from a source online. It is a rapid heartbeat that develops when the normal electrical impulses of the heart are disrupted. So my type of SVT is called paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia. I'm just going to read the definition. Normally, the heartbeat begins with an electrical impulse from a small area in the heart above in the upper chambers. It starts and it stops on its own, just like abruptly out of nowhere. So PSVT is like a short circuit. It's an abnormal electrical pathway that allows electricity to speed around in a circle and repeat signal over and over, and then the chambers contract rapidly. And it definitely feels like something's out of sort. It doesn't feel like a normal heartbeat. It just almost feels like your heart is jumbled. It's just really, really fast. When I had it, my heart rate was actually like at 178. And I don't remember if it had reached like over 200, but I remember it being like 178 and up. Typically for me, it has been triggered by like bending over. And I had, before this big event that I had in 2017, I had experienced it where I was exercising and I would bend over or like lean down really quickly during a cardio move or whatever, and it would start, but it would go away really, really quickly. So I never really paid mind to it. I just thought it was like, because I'm exercising. When I had this episode back in 2017, I was bending over to get something and the heart rate just kind of went crazy and it felt off, and I was just waiting for it to go back to normal, having remembered what I had experienced in the past, where those were brief episodes. And again, I had never really like looked into what was going on with those, because they were so brief and they just went away on their own. At that time, though, just to give you a really quick recap, I actually had to go to the ER and I had to get a shot of adenosine, which is basically a chemical that will restart your heart. And so the adenosine stops your heart. It's almost like a reset. And so normally our brain sends a signal to our heart to beat. And it was, once that adenosine went through, it was just waiting for that to kind of go through so that my heart can go back to normal. The heartbeat is due to an electrical impulse. So it just follows a certain track. And basically we stopped that with the adenosine. And then my brain just sent the signal like, hello, let's beat. We want to be alive. And so it just normalized it. Got back to normal. And then it was, I saw a cardiologist a few weeks after that. And I was told that I have this condition. There are triggers for people that have SVT. And there are, again, different types. And so you have to really be checked to see what type you have. The triggers of the type that I have are lack of sleep, too much caffeine, Those are like the major triggers: too much caffeine, not enough sleep, stress. And at that time, I was undergoing a lot of stress, emotional, physical, because I was I had a lot of jet lag, and I was drinking a ton of caffeine, like my regular coffee, but I was also incorporating pre-workout with a ton of caffeine, and I had never done that before. So add all of that up, and you get the perfect scenario for SVT for me. Because I guess I have this extra pathway that gets excited, and it will send that electrical signal and kind of go haywire. And I was given the option of taking medication or having an ablation. I decided against it because those episodes were so far and few in between, and I had noticed that they were becoming briefer again, in me like taking away the pre-workout with caffeine and then trying to manage my stress. My sleep was still not great. I would say I was getting like maybe 4 hours of sleep at certain points, and sometimes 6 was like great. 6 was wonderful for me, and I was like, yeah, I'm fine. When in actuality, I was not. So 4 to 6 hours at that point, that's all I was getting, and I'd been getting that for a really long time. I changed the way that I ate back in 2018, focused on increasing my healthy fat intake, moderate amount of protein, and just lowering my carbs. Once I changed the way that I ate, I noticed a huge difference in how I felt. I didn't feel like those episodes would happen out of nowhere when I was working out or bending over, even if I was drinking a lot of caffeine or not getting enough sleep. So I would get them like very briefly, and they would just go back to normal. And typically when I would get an episode, I would either do some of the maneuvers that would help to kind of get you back in sync, or just kind of wait it out. And basically I just kind of would stop everything that I'm doing, and in my mind I would just picture my heart going back to normal, and I would just take deep breaths and just kind of calm myself, or just calm my heart through my thoughts, and it would just work. It was almost like a biofeedback effect. That's not going to work for everybody. I understand that, but that's just how I've been able to manage it when it does happen. My last episode has maybe been over a year. If I've had a flutter or two, I will stop and I'll be like, are you starting? And then it just doesn't. So just to give you an update where I'm at, I have noticed that with changing and tweaking certain things, I'm less susceptible to experiencing an SVT episode. And I've addressed it through increasing my healthy fat intake, so essential fatty acids. We have in the past been trained or told that fats are unhealthy for our heart, when actually fats are the major source of energy for our heart. And unfortunately, I grew up, being told that, nope, you got to keep it all low fat and fat free, everything. I grew up in that age where everything was like fat free. Thankfully, with, with evidence and all the resources that we have in our hands now, where we can learn about these things, if you kind of look for that, you will learn that healthy fats are essential. We need them for inflammation, anti-inflammation, and we need them to heal. We need it as a source of energy. And you just don't know that because we were told that low fat is healthy for our heart. No, our heart actually thrives on fats, healthy fats. We're not talking about unhealthy fats. And we can do a whole separate video on that if you want. Fat provides long-term energy, whereas carbohydrates provide short-term energy. Anyways, the other thing is that I didn't work on my sleep until this past year, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The other thing that I do is that I also take a magnesium glycinate, to be specific. There are different forms of magnesium that will address certain things. I take magnesium glycinate. Magnesium is one of the most important minerals that we need for energy. We need it for muscle relaxation. We need it for a ton of things. And I can post something down below where you can see what you actually need magnesium for. But it is one of the first minerals to go when we are stressed. And you can have stress from, emotional stress. You can have physical stress. There's also internal stress, and magnesium is totally depleted. And what happens, you start getting, you start getting muscle cramps on your feet, your legs, eyes. I tend to see a lot of patients who will come to me and say, my eyelids have been twitching and it's driving me nuts. I don't know what to do. And I think there's something wrong with my eye. And basically what I have been recommending is good hydration, sleep, and magnesium. And the type of magnesium that I tend to recommend, which is good for like a lot of things, is the magnesium glycinate. And this is the one that I take myself. It's magnesium glycinate chelated version. And the chelated part is basically so that it's just more absorbable. And I take about 500 milligrams a day. Natural sources of magnesium are leafy greens and pumpkin seeds, which I love. And I thank God I have available to me ones that I get from like Costco. They're sprouted, and sprouted pumpkin seeds are a really good source of actually a lot of minerals and protein, and they're really, really yummy. So I will do a separate video on sources of things that we actually need. So I make sure that I'm getting enough hydration with my electrolytes. I'm taking my magnesium, trying to get that, there's only so much leafy greens that you can have. And I don't have greens every single day, but I try to get them a few times a week. And again, pumpkin seeds. The other thing is the sleep. Again, at that time, I was getting like 4 to 6 hours, 4 hours most days, 4 hours of sleep. And I didn't realize until I was like dozing off at the wheel and like experiencing the SVT a lot because of all the stress that was going on in my life at that time. I changed all of that. And now I get like about 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And I can talk about sleep in a different video, but sleep is so important for so many things. But again, that was one of my triggers also. So the combination of lack of sleep, stress, not enough water, too much caffeine, like my body was just not happy. And so that triggered my SVT to kind of go nuts. Currently, I am not taking a medication. I never had an ablation. The ablation actually would be for people who have this happen all the time, or if you just decide you don't want to experience that again. I never opted for the ablation because this is not something that I experience all the time. And it's like a catheter ablation where they basically excite that extra pathway and then they burn it. It's basically what it is, so that you have less episodes, or they try to get rid of the episodes. With my type of SVT, I never had any pain, I never had any weakness or fainted or anything like that. I basically just felt like I had to slow down and breathe, because otherwise I felt like I couldn't breathe. And that's pretty much it. I just feel like changing my diet, changing the things that were the triggers, were the main way that I have been able to manage it and heal my body. Increasing my healthy fats into my diet has been a game changer for a lot of things, but especially my heart. And that to me was eye-opening. That's when I noticed that there is something to this, which is why I went on to do the Nutritional Therapy Association course, because the answer to a lot of our problems is through what we consume and how we take care of ourselves. The world is in this state of dis-ease because of the diet, what we consume, whether it's through food or media. What you put in is what you're going to get out. So that's why I'm very particular about what I consume, whether it's food or media. That all affects you. And honestly, it's been a game changer to be aware of that. And I hope to bring some awareness. My goal on this channel is to bring awareness to that. Some people do understand that, but there are people that don't. And I want to be here to show that to people. That's like one of my goals in life, and I do it in work, and I'm going to do it here. I hope that I didn't ramble too much. I think that there's a lot of topics that I do want to touch upon on this channel, because there's so much that we already know, but if we kind of dig into the why of why we do certain things or why certain things are recommended, I think that people will naturally say, okay, well, let me try that. Because, we could tell you like, oh yeah, don't eat carbs. Like, who cares? Carbs are carbs. I'm not here to be a proponent of certain diets. Absolutely not. I'm just saying that certain things will work for certain people, better than others. And I am not here to be like, oh, this is the way you have to eat because this is the best way. No, there is no best way. You are an individual, and certain things are gonna work better for you than they are for someone else. This is why this video is not to be taken as medical advice or as a way to say, okay, maybe I need to go on a keto diet. Maybe I should do this, or X, Y, or Z. Look at the major things. Just look at your life. What are the major things that are affecting you here, here, and here? That is all connected. It is all connected. If you have any questions on anything that I talked about today, please put them down below. If you have SVT and you've been able to manage it without medication or an ablation, please let us know of your experience, how you've been able to manage it, or whether you are on medication. I am not here to tell you that because you're taking medication or have had treatment for it, that it is the wrong thing to do. Everyone is different. We are all individual beings, and we're all made up differently. Even though we all have the same similar DNA, we are not all built the same. That is something that I also am very passionate about, because it's a lot of what we touched upon that's a lot of what I touch upon as a nutritional therapy practitioner, is that we are all bio-individual, and we all have different needs, and we all process things differently. And that is my goal, to help people in general. Yes, I can give you general advice, but if we get down to the nitty-gritty, we have to treat everyone as an individual, because not everybody handles everything the same way. I can go on and on, as you can see. I hope that whenever you are watching this, you are well. I hope that you are having an amazing day, and I will talk to you soon in my next video.